This is going to be a video on how to mod, what is this, Dead as Disco. I'm going to try to be as quick as possible, since this is quite a lot and I have to do it in one video. Alright, first thing, obviously, download Blender. I would suggest anything that's not like the latest version, because that might break something and maybe people don't know how to fix it. So I'm using 4.2 right now. Also have Fmodel, have it open to the game, and we can quickly go and find the Charlie model. He should be under Pagoda, Content, Pagoda, Characters, Player, Meshes. And you only need this SK Charlie body. This has all the weights of his regular model, which is not that one, that's a mod, which is this one. They have the same, what do you call it? The same weights, the same vertex groups. So you can just export this one by right clicking and saving model. I'm using the UModel format. You can use PSK. I wouldn't use OBJ because that's not going to export the skeleton, so don't use that one. And GLTF, I've noticed that sometimes it doesn't export all the weight groups, all the vertex groups, or sometimes all the bones. So use either PSK or UE model. I'm using UE model. So I already have it exported, but you would hit save model. Then in Blender, we're going to open up a new one. So we're just going to hit general. And in here, let me see. Right, now that you can see my keys, let's just close this out by right clicking, close area. Hit A to select all. We're going to delete everything in here. And then you should automatically be in scenes, which is this little selection. Go to units, and we're going to change this to 0.01. And we're going to change meters to centimeters. Alright, this is so when we export, we don't have to worry about the scale in the FBX exporter. It's automatically adjusted here in the scene. That way you don't have to keep doing it every time you open up Blender and export something out. Alright, we're going to bring in the Charlie model. If you hit import, you're going to need a plugin for this, but I will put it in the link. Also something, if you're using this plugin, you're going to have to change your scale here. By default, I believe it's 1. By default it's 0.01, but we're going to change it to 1 instead. Find the character. It's under my Fmodel folder. Output, exports, Pagoda, content, characters, player, meshes, and we want this one. Double click. You won't see automatically because he's pretty big. That's fine. Just scroll out until he's kind of center in here. Okay, so we have his body in. We're gonna go ahead and automatically just split him up right now before we import our custom character to make our life easier. So to go into edit mode, you're gonna hit tab, and I like looking at stuff under the face select mode, and we're gonna hit L to select by UVs or by region, whatever is selected here, which is by seam, and that's fine, we can use seam. So just hit L, and we're gonna separate him into 3 parts: his torso, his legs, and his head. That way it's easier for us to weight paint later on. So I'm gonna hit L to select his arms. And you see that's not selecting everything. So what we can do is hit Z. We can change our shading mode to wireframe. That way we can see through him. And we can select also his backside. Just hitting L. But instead of doing this just by L, you can also hit Shift and then drag. You can just select everything through. I'm also going to do it over here because we're missing some parts of his arm. If I go back into solid mode And I'll change this to be random just so it's a little bit easier on the eyes. I want to select these areas that are missing. He's got a part here on his neck, here in his armpit. Alright, that's good enough, and then we could always just test it out before we actually separate it by hitting G, and there we go, that's good. Alright, so now to separate it, we're going to hit P, and we're going to hit by selection, and that separates it. Now all we have to do is hit wireframe again, select the head, hit P by selection, and we're good. Alright, so I hit tab again to go back into object mode. If it goes to solid, there we go. I have 3 separate meshes, and we know that they're separate meshes because they're different colors. Okay, so we have them all set up. Now we can go ahead and import the character we're going to mod. So I'm going to hit import, and the character that I chose is in an FBX file type. Oh, not this one. So my downloads, I'm going to do Cyclops. And you don't have to change anything here. So I can just hit import. And he's almost the correct size. So before I start resizing him, I want to change the type of bone structure he has. So I'm going to go to data by selecting the armature. And you know it's selected when it's highlighted this light orange color. Go to armature, viewport display. I want to change it to stick. It's easier for me to see when it's stick. And for some reason, if you have in front, you like see too many bones, so I like to turn that off. Okay, so now I can go ahead and scale this. You want to make sure that you have the armature scale chosen and not the actual mesh, because if you scale that up, then the armature stays where it previously was. So have the armature selected, and you're going to hit S to scale on all of the axes. And you want to just get kind of like the head in the right spot. I hit 3 to look at the other orthographic view, and then hit G and Y to just move on the Y axis. And it doesn't have to be perfect because he only has 1 head bone, so we're going to kind of just align his torso instead. That looks good. We can go into the wireframe mode, and it looks good. Doesn't have as much of an ass, so that's fine. We can just kind of move him back a little bit. Okay. If you go into solid mode, that looks good. Don't worry about Charlie's feet being a little bit off the ground. I would much rather have our character actually touch the ground. This might be, you know, his shoes that make up this extra space. So he's fine there. Okay. Once he's there, we can start kind of moving our character into place. So you want to select your custom character's armature. Go into pose mode. In pose mode, it's going to automatically select all the bones, so just click somewhere in the viewport. And I like to use the actual bone hierarchy tab to choose what bones I'm going to be moving around. So we're going to keep going under spine, spine, spine until we kind of hit the first clavicle. Alright. So to move around a bone in the viewport, you're going to hit R to rotate. And that moves it in 1 axis. Some people sometimes use this transform thing, but I find it like difficult to use, or this one to rotate. I don't know, it's a little bit weird. I would rather just use R. So we're just going to move his bones until we basically match up with Charlie's body. So just move that a little bit. Looks good there. I'm going to do his upper arm next. That's good. Lower arm next. just kind of move the viewport around. You're gonna just keep using R to rotate. Alright, I can see that automatically Cyclops' hand is much bigger than Charlie's. So instead of just scaling like the hand itself, we're going to scale his entire arm. So we can go all the way up to his clavicle, because if we hit Z wireframe, we can see that even his shoulders are bigger than Charlie's. So what we're going to do is hit S to scale down until you kind of see his hands are kind of the same size. That looks good. So let's go back to upper arm and just make sure we're in the right spot. Wireframe looks okay. So let's go to the forearm and keep fixing this. That looks good. Let's do his hand next. Okay, and we're going to do the fingers now. Always start from top to bottom whenever you're posing something. That way you're able to tell more clearly what's getting affected. Just move this over so we can see. Okay, I'm gonna move this bone over a little bit more. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. The way that we weight this is gonna allow it to kind of give us some space to mess up. You can also just select bones from here. Just make sure you have it under the bone settings so you can just see the name automatically here without having to open up the hierarchy if you don't want to do that.
And don't you know how sweet it tastes? Yeah, don't you know how sweet it tastes? Yeah, don't you know how sweet it tastes? Now that I'm without you, now don't emoji 않을래? How sweet it tastes.
Alright, now that I have that side, we're gonna do the same over on this side. I'm just gonna speed through. But take your time. I guess when you're first starting out, it is a little bit difficult to get right away. But, practice. And that's it. Oh, another thing is that because we changed the scale over on this side, if we hit our clavicle and we go down to our scale here, we can just select one of the boxes and hit copy. Go to our left side. And then if we hit hold and then hold shift and we drag down, we can select all the boxes. And if we hit paste, there we go. Now they're at least the same scale size. We're just gonna have to move it individually.
Look, it's a new me, switched it up, who's this? 우리 봐, new
got the hands all scaled. So we're all good there. We're basically done with our pose mode. There's a couple ways you can pose the legs though. If you go into wireframe, it looks like, if you go back to here, that the cutoff would actually be pretty similar. So I'm going to do it the old-fashioned way that I usually do this, by posing the legs as well. So I'm going to select the custom armature again. I'm going to hit pose, and we're going to find his thigh bone. There we go. If we go back into solid mode, we're just going to spread his legs a little bit. I'm just going to copy the same rotation over. Oh, that's not the bone. I'm going to copy the rotation over. That way his legs are spread. And we're good there. Okay. Now before we, I guess we can apply this. So now that we're completely done posing, we can go ahead and separate out Cyclops into the 3 pieces that we had Charlie broken into. So we can turn off the skeleton. We're done with it. We're not going to use it anymore. So what we can do is go here, click the first mesh. We're going to hit apply the modifier. Oh, he has shape keys. Of course he does. So if a character has shape keys, we can just get rid of them by going under the data tab and just hit delete all shape keys. And you can't exit out, because if you do, then you lose the change in the mesh position you got from posing it. Okay. And now we can go ahead and also delete our vertex groups. We don't need that. So just hit this. And if you have any new Blender version, you can hit G to delete vertex groups, all of them. We don't need these anymore. Okay. Now we can go ahead and hit tab, and we can split our character into the torso area. So hit L, should automatically select these. Wireframe mode, just to make this easier to select. Alright, we hit G, that looks good. So we're good there. Looks like his entire body is there, which is good, so we don't even have to split that up. Instead, we're gonna join together all of these meshes. Ooh, I wonder if he has eyes. Let's try to get rid of his glasses here for a second. We're gonna hit L. So we select his glasses. We're gonna hit G. We're gonna hide his head, actually. So we can select the back of that. Okay, there we go. We're gonna deselect this. I just wanted to see if he had any eyes. Okay, cool, he does. Perfect. So we're gonna separate this out, and we're gonna make this the sunglasses that Charlie uses. Let's rename this so it's easier for us to know what we're dealing with. This is sunglasses. This is Charlie head. Cyclops head. This is like, call it a mask for now. This bottoms. This is hair. And this is his top. Okay. Alright, so now we can go ahead and combine his hair, his head, and his mask. We're gonna hit Control J. I will say though, if you're using a model that you kind of like, I don't know, like kit bashed from different models together, always make sure that they have the same UV map name, or else when you try to control join them, you're gonna end up with like texture UV issues. So just make sure that they're all named the same. Because this was from the same model, they should technically have the same UV name, and they do. So we're good there. Okay. Alright, so we're basically all set. We can do the head first, since that's the easiest one, the one with the least amount of weights to deal with. Is that actually, if you look at Charlie's head, you can see that he doesn't have like this shoulder area that Cyclops has. So we won't get all the weights that we need, or the correct weights that we need on this part of the body. So to fix that, we're going to just duplicate this by hitting Shift T, hitting Enter, turning off everything else, and we're just going to take about the same shoulder area from this mesh. So we hit Tab, go into solid mode, and we're going to use W. That way we can just kind of select, let's see. Alright, we'll select about this area. Alright, I'm going to just turn this off so I can make sure I'm selecting the right thing. I'm going to hit P again to separate by selection. And now we can delete this old body by hitting X. Okay. So we can join this to his head. That way we can transfer from this. Let me just rename his head. Hidden transfer weights. As long as you still have the same Blender open and you didn't close it, the settings should be the same. So you don't have to worry about that. Okay. So we're going to hit G. Oh, I'm sorry, not G. We're going to hit Remove Unused Vertex Groups. And if we go into wireframe mode, we'll be able to see what's being affected, and we're just going to scroll through. It should automatically be good. We shouldn't have to mess with the weight of anything because we aligned them pretty well. There we go. Those are all the weights. It looks all good. So we're good there. Let's go back into object mode. And to make this easier for ourselves, I'm just going to add head done, so I know that we're done weighing that. Okay. Alright, next, I find the arms to be the hardest, so we're going to go into body instead. And if you remember, we spread Cyclops' legs, so we have to do the same here. So let's select Charlie's skeleton, go into pose mode. Gotta find that thigh bone, and we're just gonna rotate it so it's matching up. Alright. Go back into object mode. We're gonna close that off, and we're gonna shift select our model again, hit weights, transfer weights, go back into the data tab and remove the unused vertex groups. We're going to shuffle through this. Let me just save by hitting Control S. That way we don't lose this. There we go. Alright, so we're done with the bottoms. I'll hit done. And The last thing is the top. Alright, this one's the one that's going to have us kind of mess with weights a little bit. But we will do that after we do the initial transfer. Make sure to remove and just kind of scroll through. If you see anything like glaringly obvious, and if this is your first time modding, you obviously wouldn't know what that is. But basically, you have to think about, what weights belong to what part of the body. So just a little bit of anatomy would be useful to know. Obviously, the spine, when we move, doesn't affect our arms. So I know that when we keep scrolling, we're going to find that the spine 4 is going to be slightly on the arms, so we're just going to delete that once we get there. But if you see anything that's glaringly obvious that you think, this shouldn't be on this part of the body, you can go ahead and subtract it by using this. You can decrease how heavy it removes things. 1 means that it's going to delete everything. I'm just going to go back. Add that in. And the radius is how big this is, obviously. I'm going to use something like about 45. Alright, I'm going to keep scrolling. Good, we see that the biceps, again, shouldn't affect the torso, so we're good there. His fingers should be all good, so I'm not even looking at them. But again, you can always kind of just move around the camera to whatever is being affected. Alright, I see here that this upper arm twist is affecting this torso, so I'm just gonna edit it right now. Just gonna delete this weight. Add in a weight here that I know that it's missing, because again, most weights, in order to make it look nice when it's in game, needs to be pretty fluid, so you want to kind of match the color and the gradient that the weight is having.
Super shy, but wait a minute while I make your mind, make your mind. 달리는 지금도 you're on my mind all the time. I wanna tell you, but I'm super shy, super shy. I'm super shy, but wait a minute while I make your mind, make your mind. 달리는 지금도 you're on my mind all the time. I wanna tell you, but I'm super shy, super shy. 나 원래 말도 잘하고 그런데.
So again, that's just our first pass. For sure, we're gonna have to go in and edit this, but we'll do it right after we do the next step. So now that we are done, obviously we'll do sunglasses later. That's gonna be a different armature because his glasses are a different skeleton. So we're going to take Charlie's skeleton. We can have him show up again, and we're gonna select it. We're gonna go into pose mode. We're going to hit A to select all bones, and we're going to clear all. That way, he is back into his original position. From here, we're going to duplicate his skeleton twice. So just hit Shift-D, enter, Shift-D, enter. We can turn off his old skeleton, and we can rename one of them to last. I just do this just so I know that this is going to be the skeleton I'm going to use once I'm ready to export this character out. So with this new skeleton selected, we're going to select everything that we have weight transferred so far, and we're going to use Control Select until the skeleton is that lighter color. Then we're going to hit Control P. We're going to choose Object, Keep Transform, and under here we're going to select the first mesh, go to the modifiers tab, and we're going to add a modifier. It should be the first one, but if you start typing armature, it should be the first one that comes up. hit the eyedropper to select the armature that these meshes are under, and then from that we can select the first mesh, hit Control L, and we're going to hit copy modifiers. That way all of them have the same armature modifier. Okay, from here we're going to select this mesh and we're going to repose Cyclops so he's in the correct spot he needs to be, so this is exported out correctly. Even though the bones aren't aligned, because they have the same weight groups, we can move around this. Mesh. So I have the thigh selected. I'm just gonna hit R to rotate so he's in about the right spot. And then same thing over here. And we are all good. If we hide Charlie, he looks good. It's aligned. Everything looks fine. Yep. Okay. So now that we're back into object mode, I hit tab. We have to apply the armature modifier because we moved it. Same thing that we did when it was under this. So we're going to hit apply for everything. Alright, and now that we are done, we can hide this one. And now we're going to move everything and reparent it to our last skeleton. So again, hit Control P. Add in that modifier. And then Control L to copy modifiers. Okay, so now this is kind of the hard part where we have to check all of our weights, make sure that they're all good. For sure, we're going to have to mess with that armpit. That's the worst part of modding. Alright, so with the armature selected, we can go into pose mode. Just going to hit save. And we can start posing. I'm going to turn off the overlay just so we can see the model better. You can just turn it off here. And we're just going to select bones by using this. The first bone we're going to choose is a root bone. If we hit G and move this around, this will tell us if we're missing any weight on any vertex group. But everything is good. If it wasn't, it would stretch out weirdly because it's not weighted to anything. Alright, we can skip pelvis, which basically does the same thing. And I'm going to look at our thigh weights first. So just hit R, and we're just going to basically move stuff around just to know if it's weighted correctly. If we hit R, and we look at it from the side, you can see that's bending pretty well. You could go in and mess with this weight, but I'm okay with how it looks. The same thing with the foot. Kind of just look at all the major kind of joints a body would have. And then we can do the same thing with that right thigh. Move everything around. And our foot. Okay. Just make sure that you hit Control Z, just to make sure that everything stays aligned so you don't accidentally pose any bone. Alright, so now we can start looking at the spine. So let me close this. And we're just going to go through and look at all the spine bones. You see that it kind of clips through, but we'll be able to fix that in a second. Once we join this all together in one mesh at the end. So we can skip that for now. Okay. Alright. We're gonna just keep going straight up and we'll do the neck next. And head is the last. Oh, head is the last one here. Okay. All right. So we're gonna do clavicles next. For sure, when I raise this up, we're gonna see the torso probably stretch. Yep. Okay. So here's our first issue. So I'm gonna raise that up about here, and I'm gonna raise the upper arm as well, just so this is stretched out like this. We're gonna do the same thing on the other side. Raise it up, and the upper arm as well. Okay. So go back into weight paint mode. Let's remove unused vertex groups, and we can fix this here again.
Come on. Stormy night, cloudy sky, in a moment you and I. One more kiss, 너와 나 다시 한번 만나게 서로에게 향하게. I feel scared, 좀 deeper, 다시.
So we're all done with that. If you go back and choose the armature, and we hit pose mode, just hit A to select all, and clear rotation. Now we can test this out. Sorry, not material preview. We're gonna check this out again. It looks like it moves well. Our arm looks good. Check the wrist, and you really only need to check like the first bone. If it looks wonky like this, we can go in and fix it. Let's just see. Just make sure to check all your bones. Alright, so we know we need to check that one, but let's just look at the other side first. Looks good on this side. Oh, the pinky over here. And the thumb. Okay, so let's go and fix the fingers then. Make sure to turn on the overlay again. So we're done with fixing all of our weights. We're all done. Everything is fixed. Everything is nice. So we are basically done. Last thing we have to do is just join them, and this is just so we get better movement around the hips, and we get rid of like splits and vertex groups, because once vertexes are combined, they kind of combine their weights. So we're gonna hit Control J. We're gonna hit Tab. We're gonna select everything. We're gonna merge by distance. We got rid of 3,493 vertices, which is good. Okay. Before we export, we have to change the name of this to armature. If you're ever creating a mod and your character is T-posing, it's because you didn't rename it before you exported it. Again, it needs to be capital. It needs to be armature. The name of this doesn't matter. So we can just leave it as is. I'm just gonna shift select this since I have other stuff here. And we go to File, Export, FBX. I want to leave it in here, but it needs to be named SK Charlie. This is the last mod that I made, which was a Michael Jackson mod. But I'm all done with that, so I can delete it. So it has this name. In terms of the settings, the export settings, we're going to make sure it's only selected objects. I like to make sure it's only armature and mesh. Because we changed the scene unit scale to 0.01, we don't have to change it here. We can leave it as 1. Under geometry mode, smoothing, I want it to be face. We want to leave apply modifiers on. And we want to turn off add leaf bones and turn off animation. Now we're good to export. Alright. Next thing is that we need the Unreal Engine model. So make sure you have Epic Games downloaded. Under the Unreal Engine tab, you're going to go to Library, and you would hit Add an Engine Version, and you would add in 5.74. It's not showing because I already have it installed. But if for some reason by the time if you look at this video, there's a new engine version out, you're just going to have to hit that down arrow and select 5.74. The reason why it's 5.74 is because if you go here into where our Steam files are and the exe for the game is, if we hit properties and we go to, oh sorry, I'm choosing the entire folder. Properties, and we go to details, it will tell us the file version basically, which is the engine version of the game. So it's 5.74. If there's ever an update to the game, you're gonna have to look at this, figure out what version of Unreal Engine they're using. So they're using 5.74. Alright, so once you have that downloaded, you're gonna launch the game. I have this already set up, Pagoda, so I will just show you what you would do. You could use the project that's already created, but I think it's best practice to make your own. That way, if you want to mod any other Unreal Engine game, it's the same steps regardless of what game it is. So learning how to set up your own U project file, I believe, would be more beneficial for you if you ever want to mod another game. So it's going to take a while to load up, and it's also going to take a while for it to download. So you could be doing this while you're doing Blender work. You can just have it load up in the background. Okay, so I have this kind of large because I was doing level editing, but I'll kind of make this smaller. You're not going to use this if you're doing character modding. You'll never have to look at this viewport. Alright, so I'm going to have a split screen with my Unreal Engine and my F model. This is because if you're creating a fresh new U project, you're going to have to duplicate all of these settings. Something that you're going to have to do, if you go back to home, when you're creating a new project, you want to make sure that you name it. Again, this is for any game. You want to name it after the top folder, which is Pagoda, which is why this project is named Pagoda. Alright, so once you name it correctly, naming it after that first folder, and once you have it open, you're gonna wanna basically follow the folder hierarchy of the folder that this meshes in. So obviously Pagoda was the first one, so you don't have to worry about it. It automatically creates the content folder, so you're going to be creating all of these folders within the content folder. So these first two are done, we don't have to worry about that. But you would have to create a Pagoda folder, which we created here, characters, player, and meshes. Alright, so just make sure that you pay attention to capitalization, and spelling. It matters. It won't work if you do not have spelling correct. All right, so I have a model here that I did already. So I don't want to get rid of this in case I want to edit it later. So I'm just going to rename it so it's out of the way. I'm going to do the same thing with the glasses, just so it's out of the way. All right, so once you're in this meshes folder, you're going to right click and you're going to hit import. You're going to find wherever you saved the FBX, and you're just going to hit open. Alright, once you're in here, you're going to go to the skeletal mesh tab because this is a skeletal mesh, and you're going to make sure that you have a couple of things selected. You want to make sure that it has compute weighted normals. Under skeleton, you're going to hit import skeleton. If you're using the pagoda thing, you would select the skeleton under here, which I already have set up. But because this is something new, we're going to pretend that we don't have it there. Import content type. I think the original is like geometry only. You want geometry and skin weights. Obviously, you want it to import skeletal meshes. You also, again, if you're using the template, you would just choose this, but again, we're going to create our own physics asset, so we're going to have that selected. Under materials, I like to not import anything. I like to create them fresh from here. Same thing with textures. I don't want to import textures. I'll import them manually. And then we can just hit import. Alright, so what you should have are 3 files. They're going to be highlighted in blue. It says there's issues with import. You can just ignore this. You're going to have SK Charlie. You're going to have SK Charlie physics asset and SK Charlie skeleton. The reason why we named it SK Charlie is because that is what, that's what this is named. So we want it to have the same name. Alright, first thing you want to do is with this SK Charlie selected in F model, hit Control F so you can search within the JSON, which is all of this information here. And you're going to type in skeleton. This will show you the skeleton and the name and the location where the skeleton is located in, which is characters, common, skeletons, and it's named Scale Humanoid. It's not named SK Charlie Skeleton. So you would change the name of that by just hitting it, changing the name to SK Charlie Skeleton, and then you would create the same folder hierarchy here, which I already have created, which is going to be under characters, common, skeletons. Alright, because I already have this here, I'm not going to rename it and move it over, or else I would have a duplicate, and that would basically mess up all the other meshes that I already have imported in here. So I'm not going to name it, but I want you to rename it Scale Humanoid. Make sure that it has the SKEL Humanoid, and we can actually just go through and find that folder over here under characters, common, skeletons, and you can actually just right click and hit copy package name without skeleton, and that would have you name it here basically. Another thing we want to do is we want to find our physics asset. So under here we're going to hit physics, we're going to type it in, and then we see that it's under the same folder, which is here, which is characters, player meshes. Characters, player meshes. So if we go back to that folder, we'll be able to find this Phys Charlie, which is right here. I'm gonna hit package name without extension, and we're gonna rename this. Again, there's already one in here named that, which is why it's telling me that that is why. So what we can do is we can just select this, type in physics up here, you can select the correct one, which is physics Charlie. But again, if you're doing this from scratch, you would rename it, and then because it's automatically assigned, it will change in under the skeletal mesh. Again, because my skeleton can't be renamed and it can't be put in the right folder, and if you open this up and you find skeleton, I can't change this. I'm going to just re-import it. I was just showing you how to do it if this is a completely fresh new project. So I'll be right back. So now that this is re-imported, again, we can just make sure that we have this correct names by hitting the skeletal mesh, which is that pink thing right here. And make sure that it's under skull humanoid and it's following the folder hierarchy. Same thing with the physics asset. It's following it. Perfect. Alright. One last thing is the blueprint, which is right here. So to create a blueprint, you would right click your mesh, create, and a blueprint. It's going to automatically pop you into the folder where the skeleton is in, and then you would just rename it PB Charlie, which is under this folder as well. So we can just copy it. You would rename it, and once you rename it, you would go ahead and move it back into the meshes folder. Because I already have one in there, I'm not going to move it, and I'm just going to delete this. But again, if you're starting from scratch, you would do this. So in order to apply the blueprint, you got to open up your mesh, type in blueprint, and select the blueprint from here. You're going to see this down here. Don't worry, don't touch anything here. Just hit save. Okay. So basically, we're done with basically naming this correctly, doing everything in terms of like the vanilla information that we need from the game. Now we can deal with our custom textures and materials. So I'm going to create a new folder just under this meshes, and I want to name it Cyclops. And in this folder, I'm going to dump in my textures. You're going to see some things pop up here. It's basically telling you that normal maps have automatically been identified and have been imported as a normal map, which you want. One thing we do want to do though is that anything that's not diffused, we want to turn off sRGB. So we're going to open this up and we're going to turn off sRGB. Alright, we're going to hit save all over here so we don't have to do it individually over there. Hit save selected, and we can close this out. Alright, once we're under here, I'm going to go ahead and hit right click, and we're going to add in materials. In order to know how many materials we need, we can open up our model. I'm just going to move it over here. And we see that we have 4 materials that we need. So I'm going to name them similar. So this seems like its body. 1 for face accessories. 1 for hair. And 1 for the head. Okay. Alright. So now we can start creating our materials. But before we do, we have to change some stuff under the editor preferences and the project settings. So under editor preferences, you're going to go to experimental, and you want to make sure that allow chunk ID assignments is ticked on. Under project settings, under packaging, you want to make sure that pack files are used, and pack files are basically these archives which use pack, utalk, and then ucast, which is not shown here. So we want to make sure that's ticked on. You want to make sure IO store is also ticked on, which is specifically the utalk and ucast files. You want to make sure that generate chunks are on. Chunk hard references only is on as well. If we scroll down a little bit. We also want to make sure cook everything in the project content directory is also on. So we want to make sure that those are all on. This should already be ticked on, so you don't have to worry about that. So make sure those are all ticked on in packaging. And if you go back to all settings, type in material, and you want to make sure you untick share material code. That way we can have custom materials. Alright. So once that is all done, we can start opening up our materials and plugging in our textures. So this is the body. So we're going to use this texture. We can just drag it over and we can click it in. One thing you want to do is when you select the actual material node, you want to make sure two-sided is on. That way you don't have to worry about if there's any backface culling issues with the model here. Okay, so once two-sided is on, we can add in the rest of our textures.
You know me like no other. 다 표현하지 않아도 see me like no other. And I think I like your point of view. 다시 돌아와도 돼. I don't care what other people say. 놓지 말아봐줘. Dreaming of each other. You, baby, on my mind.
Alright, now we can go ahead and apply this over here. You can just copy over. Just look at it, it looks pretty good. Okay. Alright, you can hit save here. And now, save over here as well. We're going to select everything. We're going to hit asset actions, assign to chunk. We're going to choose something random like 90. Hit OK and save. Make sure to go back to meshes and assign him as well. Alright, last thing is that we just have to do the glasses. So I'm going to name this body. Let's go ahead and import the glasses. This is going to be really quick. We're going to find, let me delete this. Find our glasses, and we don't have to move anything because this is the location we need for it to fit Cyclops. So what we're going to do is we're just going to open this up and select the Charlie mesh and then our custom mesh, transfer weights, and if you go to vertex groups, we see that it's already there. Perfect. Okay. Now we just need to parent this down here. Remember to hit Control P and then Control L just to copy the modifier. And now we can delete this. Now we have our sunglasses all set. Just remember to rename the armature to armature. Select it and we can export it. Should be under this name I'm gonna delete this old file, but you gotta use this name right here. And again, if you didn't close Blender, you're gonna keep all the same settings. Face, selected objects only, leave scale at 1, turn off add leaf bones, and turn off animation. Alright. In here, we're gonna import it. And if we go to F model, glasses. Again, use the same settings. If you're starting like a clean import, you're not gonna have this here, so we want to make sure that you leave this blank and you create a physics asset. Because I have this information in, I'm gonna leave it blank, but I'll show you what it should be named and where to find it. So I'm gonna use this here and head prop. Okay. Alright, in terms of where we find this information, Charlie's glasses are right here. They're a little bit big, but they're right here. So again, we're gonna Control F and we're gonna look up what the skeleton name is called. It's called Skeleton Head Prop. If you go into the skeleton folder, you find it right here, so we can just copy the name over. And then if you have your skeleton here, you would rename it and you would prop it right here into the skeleton folder. Next, we need the physics asset. So that's going to be in our regular mesh folder. And it's called Phys Glasses. So again, you would copy and you would rename it. It's already here for me, so that's good. And then last thing, there's also a blueprint for this. So it's in this folder, but again, to create a blueprint, you would hit create and in blueprint. That would take you to where the skeleton is. You would rename it, and then you would move it back into the correct folder, which is here. So we can delete this. Okay. So that's named. Make sure to apply the blueprint under here. Hit save. We can close it out for now. Okay. So now this uses the same material as the one that we already created, which is that face accessory extra. So we don't have to create it, we can just select it. Face accessory. It's right there. Okay. Alright. That is it. So because we added everything here, if you hit save, because we added everything here into our chunk, we could also just audit asset the folder just to make sure, and yep, everything is under chunk 90. Perfect. Alright, that means we just need to add these two meshes into our chunk. So just select them, asset actions assigned to chunk 90, hit OK, and then hit save. Alright, now basically you're all set to export this out. So you're going to go to Platforms, Package Project, under Windows, make sure that 64 is selected, and you're using shipping, and then you just hit Package Project. The first time always takes forever. The default folder is perfectly fine, don't mess with that. It's going to package. I'll be back once it's done packaging. Alright, so I finished packaging. It's going to blink once it's done packaging. So now you're just going to go to the folder that your Unreal Engine project should be in. If you left everything at default, it should be under Documents, Unreal Projects, and then the name of the new project, which is Pagoda. So we're going to open that up. You're going to go to Windows, Pagoda, Content, Packs, and it should be in here. I have a couple of different packs that I've made, but again, we have applied everything to chunk 90. So we're going to copy the 3 chunks, or the 3 files, copy, and we're going to find where the game is. So just go to wherever your game is, wherever your Steam games are. Hit Pagoda, Content, Packs, and then if you've never modded before, if you've never had a mod before, just make sure to create the mods folder. You have to use that this little symbol here to create mods folder, and then we can just paste it here. I've created this before. I don't want to lose it since I renamed it here and it would be wrong in game, so I'm just gonna copy this one over. Just gonna paste it right here. This is just so I don't lose that mod. Okay, so let's get rid of this. You have to rename it before you start, so just click them all, hit rename. This is Cyclops. You have to have that P, that way the game knows that this is priority files. Okay, and now we can open up Steam, head to our library, and we can go ahead and launch the game. Let's see if it's in. Alright, let's see if it's in. It looks like it. It looks like he's over there. Let's continue. There he is. Perfect. Everything looks perfect. Alright, let's just play to make sure that we don't have any like frame drops. But this model wasn't very big. Another thing is that I made a mod and it had 1.4 million vertices. That looks like it's a cutoff, so try to make anything that you do put in the game less than 1 million vertices. Alright, so that should be everything you need to mod this game. If you have any questions, please ask. Thanks.
Ooh.